Hey guys, welcome back to Elevated Soul. Today we are continuing with the part 4 of the chapter The Structure of the Universe. 30,000 yojanas below Patala lives Lord Ananta, who is also called Lord Shankarshana and who is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Lord of Lord Shiva and he is the predominating deity of the false ego of the conditioned souls. When one thinks, I am the enjoyer and this world is meant to be enjoyed by me, this conception of life is dictated by Shankarshana. The entire universe is situated upon one of Lord Ananta's thousands of hoods, and it appears just like a white mustard seed. In other words, the universe is infinitesimal in comparison to Lord Ananta's hood. At the time of devastation, Lord Anantadeva becomes slightly angry because the vast majority of the living entities, having misused the opportunity to finish up their material life and go back home, back to Godhead. From between his two eyebrows comes Rudra carrying a trident, and he proceeds to devastate the entire creation. When the devotees offer their obeisances unto Lord Ananta, they become joyful upon seeing their faces reflected in his pink, transparent toenails, which are just like gems polished to a mirror finish. When the beautiful princesses of the serpent kings smear the Lord's long white arms with aguru paste, sandalwood paste, and kumkuma, hoping for his auspicious blessing, the touch of his limbs awakens their lusty desires. Understanding their minds, Lord Ananta looks at the princesses with a merciful smile, and thus they become very bashful. At this time, the princesses smile attractively while looking upon the Lord's face, which is beautified by reddish eyes rolling slightly from intoxication and delighted by love for his devotees. Anantadeva's main mission is to destroy the material creation, and although he becomes very angry to see how the conditioned souls simply try to lord it over the material nature, he restrains his anger and intolerance until the proper time. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, Lord Ananta, whose two-armed form is very white, holds a plough on his shoulder. After hearing about the various planetary systems within the universe, Maharaja Parikshit inquired, "My dear great sage, why are the living entities put into different material situations? Kindly explain this to me." Sukadeva Goswami replied, "O king, in the material world there are three kinds of activities: those in the mode of goodness, those in the mode of passion, and those in the mode of ignorance. Because people are influenced by these three modes, the results of their activities are also divided into three. One who acts in the mode of goodness is religious and happy. One who acts in passion achieves mixed misery and happiness. Anyone who acts under the influence of ignorance is always unhappy and lives like an animal." Due to the varying degrees that the living entities are influenced by these modes of material nature, their destinations are of a great variety. Just as by executing pious activities one achieves different positions in heavenly life, so by acting impiously one attains various situations in hellish life. Those who are activated by the mode of ignorance act impiously and according to the extent of their ignorance, they are placed into different grades of hellish life. Those who act in ignorance due to madness receive the least severe misery as a result. Those who act impiously in spite of knowing the distinction between pious and impious activities are placed into a hell of intermediate severity. Those who act impiously on account of atheism have to suffer the worst kind of hellish life. Due to ignorance, every conditioned soul has been carried by various desires into thousands of hellish planets since time immemorial. The hellish planets, Narakaloka, are situated below Pataloka, slightly above the water of the Garbhodaka ocean. Pitraloka, which is presided over by Yamaraja, is also located in this space between the Garbhodaka ocean and the lower planetary systems. The Yamadutas bring sinful persons to their master after death. Yamaraja properly judges them according to the specific sinful activities and then sends them to one of the many hellish planets for suitable punishment. Sukadeva Goswami describes 28 of these hellish planets as follows. One who appropriates another's legitimate wife, children or money is thrown into the very dark hell known as Tamishra. There he is starved and given no water, and due to being beaten and rebuked by the Yamadutas, he sometimes falls unconscious. One who slyly cheats another man and then enjoys his wife and children is put into the hell known as Andha Tamishra. Even before reaching here, the sinful living being is subjected to such extreme misery that he loses his intelligence and sight, and for this reason the planet has received its name. One who works very hard day and night and commits unnecessary violence against others to maintain his own body and the bodies of his family members is thrown into the hell called Raurava. There all the living beings he had injured appear as animals called Rurus, which are more envious than snakes, and they inflict very severe pain upon him. Persons who live by hurting others must also go to the hell known as Maharaurava, where the Ruru animals called Kravyadas severely torment him and eat his flesh. The cruel persons who cook poor animals and birds alive for the satisfaction of their tongues are carried by the Yamadutas to the hell known as Kumbhipaka, where they are cooked in boiling oil. The killer of a Brahmana is put into the hell known as Kalasutra, which has a surface made entirely of copper, 10,000 yojanas in circumference. Being heated by fire from below and scorching sun from above, the copper surface of this planet is extremely hot. The killer of a Brahmana also burns from within due to hunger and thirst, as he sometimes lies down, sometimes sits, sometimes stands up, and sometimes runs here and there on the copper surface for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of an animal. A person who deviates from the Vedic path in the absence of an emergency is put into the hell called Ashipatravana. The Yamadutas beat him with whips so that when he flees here and there due to extreme pain, he runs into palm trees that have leaves like sharpened swords. Because these trees are growing everywhere, his body soon becomes covered by injuries. While practically fainting at every step, the sinful man cries out, "Oh, what shall I do now? How shall I be saved?" A sinful king or government representative who punishes an innocent person or inflicts bodily punishment upon a Brahmana is taken by the Yamadutas to the hell named Sukaramukha, where he is crushed just as sugarcane is squeezed to extract the juice. While being tortured like this, the sinful person cries out very pitiably and faints just like the innocent persons who had punished. Low-grade living beings, just as mosquitoes, suck the blood of human beings, but they are unaware that their bites are painful. However, human beings with developed consciousness know how painful it is to be killed or injured. Therefore, if one who possesses such developed consciousness kills or torments insignificant creatures, he is punished by being sent to the hell known as Andhakupa. There he is attacked by all the birds, beasts, reptiles, mosquitoes, flies, and worms he had tortured during his life, and thus he is deprived of sleep. Being unable to rest, he spends his time wandering endlessly in the dark and thus suffers. One who is no better than a crow if he simply eats food upon receiving it without first dividing it among guests, the aged and children. Such persons, as well as those who eat without performing the Panchayadna, are put into the most abominable hell known as Krimi-Bhojana. Within the hell is a lake 100,000 yojanas wide and filled with worms. The sinful living being has to become a worm in that lake for 100,000 years and thus feed on the other worms just as they feed upon him. One who steals jewels or gold from another person, especially a Brahmana, in the absence of an emergency, is put into the hell called Sandamsha. There his skin is torn and separated by red-hot iron balls and tongs so that his entire body is cut to pieces. One who indulges in sexual intercourse with an unworthy member of the opposite sex is punished by the Yamadutas in the hell known as Taptasurmi. Such men and women are beaten with whips and then forced to embrace red-hot iron forms of the opposite sex. One who indulges in sex indiscriminately even with animals is put into the hell called Vajrakantaka Salmali, which is so called because of the silk cotton tree found there whose thorns are as strong as thunderbolts. The Yamadutas hang the sinful man on that tree and then pull him down very forcibly so that the thorns tear apart his body. One who is born into a responsible family but then neglects to perform his prescribed duties according to religious principles and thus becomes degraded is thrown into the river of hell known as Vaitarani. This river is like a moat that surrounds hell and it is filled with stool, urine, pus, blood, nails, bone, flesh, fat and marrow as well as aquatics that eat his body. However, since he does not die, the sinful man continues to suffer terribly in that river while constantly remembering his past impious acts. The shameless husbands of low-born Shudra women who could not improve themselves as thus lived like animals, bereft of good behavior, cleanliness or regulated life are put into the hell called Puyoda. There they fall into an ocean filled with pus, stool, urine, mucus and saliva and are forced to eat these disgusting things. Those of the higher three classes who take their pet dogs into the forest to hunt and kill animals unnecessarily are placed into the hell known as Pranarodha, where the Yamadutas make him act as a target so that they can pierce him with their sharp arrows. A person who is very proud of his aristocratic position and thus sacrifices animals for the sake of material prestige is thrown into the hell called Visheshana, where the Yamadutas kill him after torturing him with unlimited pain. If a member of the three twice-born classes forces his wife to drink his semen out of a lusty desire to keep her under control, he is put into the hell called Lala Bhaksha. There he is thrown into a flowing river of semen and forced to drink it. Dacoits who set fire to others' houses or give them poison, as well as government officials who plunder mercantile men by forcing them to pay income tax, or by some other method are put into the hell called Sarameya Dana. They are under the order of the Yamaduta. 720 dogs having teeth as strong as thunderbolts devour such sinful people. A person who bears false witness or lies while giving charity or doing business is thrown headfirst from a mountain 100 yojanas high into a hell called Avichimat, waterless. This place has no shelter and is made of stone that resembles the waves of a river, although in actuality there is no water at all. Even though the sinful man is repeatedly thrown from the mountain top so that his body is broken into tiny pieces, he does not die, and thus he has to continue suffering from such chastisement. A Brahmana or the wife of a Brahmana who drinks liquor, or a Kshatriya or Vaishya who drinks Somarasa is taken to a hell known as Ayapana, where the Yamadutas stand on his chest and pour molten iron into his mouth. One who is low-born and abominable and yet is falsely proud, thinking I am great, and thus fails to show proper respect to those who are more elevated than himself in terms of birth, austerity, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order, is thrown headfirst into the hell called Sharakardama, where he suffers greatly. Those who perform human sacrifices to the goddess Bhadrakali and then eat their victims' flesh are put into the hell called Rakshogana Bhojana. There their victims take the form of Rakshasas and cut them to pieces with sharp swords, and then drink their blood while indulging in a great celebration of singing and dancing. Persons who pretend to give shelter to animals and birds and then cruelly pierce them with lances or threads, playing with them like toys, are taken by the Yamadutas to a hell called Sula Pruta. There, their bodies are pierced with needle-like lances. Then, while suffering from hunger and thirst, sharp-beaked birds like vultures and herons attack them from all sides. Tearing at their bodies while being tormented like this, such persons can remember all the sinful acts they had committed in the past. Those who are like envious snakes and are thus always hungry and give pain to others are put into the hell known as Dandashuka, where 5 or 7 hooded serpents eat them as if they were mice. Those who confine others in dark wells, caves, or other such places are put into the hell called Avata Nirodhana. There these sinful persons are pushed into dark wells where they suffocate due to poisonous fumes and smoke and thus suffer severely. A householder who receives guests with cruel glances as if ready to burn them to ashes is put into the hell called Paryavartana, where vultures, herons, crows, and other birds give him cold stares and then suddenly swoop down and forcibly pluck out his eyes. One who earns money sinfully and then becomes very proud of his wealth always fears that someone may steal it, suspecting even his superiors. He looks like a wretched friend because his heart and face have dried up at the thought of losing his wealth. After death, the Yamadutas take him to a hell called Suchimukha and punish him by stitching thread throughout his entire body just like weavers manufacturing cloth. Sukadeva Goswami concluded, "My dear king, in the province of Yamaraja, there are thousands of hellish planets where the impious persons I have mentioned and those who I have not mentioned must enter according to the degree of their sinfulness. Although pious persons enter into the planetary systems of the demigods, nevertheless both pious and impious are once again brought back to the earth after the results of their respective activities have become exhausted." This ends the chapter. Thank you for listening. Radhe Radhe.